once again, we talk about it every week. It's going to keep coming up until it's over.
It's never going to be over.
I'm going to say that. I know. Grady from North Point, Michigan. Hi, guys. Love the podcast and loving the coverage of Gamergate 2 and your takes. What do you think of the recent explosion over this past weekend where Alyssa Mercante put out a challenge to fight anyone and then just backed off when two different YouTuber women accepted? Is she just blowing smoke again? The whole situation has to end with her leaving Kotaku, right? So what you know of the situation, right?
Of course.
You know what happened. Okay.
I mean,
so I will run it down.
Predictable is what I would say.
Yeah, I would say it's predictable. So I will run it down because I didn't even know that this was going on. So I decided obviously we've talked about it on the podcast before. I was always a massive Giant Bomb fan. You were too. I listened to that podcast basically since the beginning. I kind of started to drop out of it when Vinny, Brad, and Alex left to go do Nextlander.
That was the first major hit.
Yeah, and then that last year before Jeff left, I kind of was in and out listening to the Bombcast, and then when he left, that was kind of my cutoff of it's all new people and Dan Reichert. So, I've kind of kept out of it, but I knew they were doing live shows after Summer Games Fest. So I was like, I'll tune into one of those and kind of scroll through it this weekend. So I think it was night one. I didn't even know that this Alyssa Mercante was going to be on it. I had no idea. Oh. So I kind of scrolled through just to see okay, who are the guests on? And then happened to see her pop up. And I was like, oh no, is she going to be normal or is she going to open her mouth about Gamergate 2? No, she had to open her mouth.
It was never going to be normal. Let's put it that way.
No, that's the first thing I'll say. It was never going to be normal. So, and I feel bad too, because when you look at all the different people that were in the room at the time, that one dude from MinMax is there and he just looks fucking uncomfortable.
Well,
I don't want to be in this room when this is going on, because she basically took the mic. She had her own little rant, but she put out a challenge to the internet. Come fight me physically. Yeah. I think the term was "come fight me physically, bitch," is what she said.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
It had to be antagonistic. It couldn't just be a statement.
It was. This was after telling people that I think we should be nicer to everybody in the games industry, and then proceeds to follow up with "come fight me."
They should be nicer unless it pertains to her opinion, in which case it can be however she wants it to be.
Anyways, So she does this, and two different female YouTubers accepted her challenge. One of them, Vera Dark. The other one, I want to say her name is it's based after the Star Wars character Mara Jade. Okay, it's important to note, first of all, as far as I saw, Alyssa Mercante only ever acknowledged one of these challenges. And the one that she didn't acknowledge was Mara Jade. That girl, from what I looked into, is ex-military.
Yeah.
She's ex-Air Force, and she has 3 kickboxing trophies. I don't think you want to fuck with her. The other one, she just kept changing the rules. That was the thing, is they had a back and forth on Twitter. They had DMs going about it. They even had somebody was willing, hey, I'll set up your fight for you.
Well, because at first she was like, well, you can't put it on your YouTube and make money off of it. She said, fine, whatever. Well, whatever money we make goes to charity. You pick the charity.
Yeah. No, and then no, that wasn't good enough. She said, well, you're only letting me choose one. I want to choose multiple. It's I think she even said that's fine. Who cares? Donate to however many charities you want. And then so it just kept, changing.
I'm too busy to do this.
I'm too busy. And then it turned into, well, I really just meant a public meetup. And then it turned into, well, we'll do this in a gym. First it was the streets, which I laughed at.
She wanted it to be someplace no one could watch it.
Which, you know what that means in reality. She'll just have other people there and they're going to beat the shit out of the other person.
Right. Or
if that actually was going to happen.
Would show up. Right.
It's one of two things would happen. Either all her friends would show up and that happens, or 2, she doesn't show up at all.
Right.
And then how do you prove it? Nobody else is there.
Right.
Anyways, and then obviously she backed out of it. And just, I'm busy, whatever. She was never going to fight anybody. She's never going to fight anybody.
No.
So that's the whole point there.
Never going to do that at all.
It's never going to happen.
Because the only thing she knows is words and how to use words the way she wants to use them against the people she wants to use them against. Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
She's also in the last week. gone through the, the typical thing that these people do, which is the private my Twitter, now open it, private it, open it, private it, open it. Yeah.
Attack some,
blocking people,
block them immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever furthers her narrative. And then the same 6 people comment on her Twitter, you're doing great out there, kind of stuff. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like,
it's like the same 6 people that in the games industry. One of them is the guy that have basically, he like found recently a post from, and this is another part that's going on with Gamergate continuously now. He found a post from a company that Smash JT guy worked at a couple years ago, like a public post of like him with his kids and stuff, and then posted that all over the internet. So what happens?
Jesus.
2 people have now contacted that former employer of his trying to get questions. One of them is the person that started this whole thing, Chris Kindred of Sweet Baby.
Oh, weird.
And here's what happened. Here's how he found out. The guy was so stupid, he left his real fucking phone number there.
Oh, boy.
And so that Smash JT got that and put it together and found out who it was. And the other person that did it the very next day was just some other person. I don't think it was a journalist. Sure. It was just another wacko on the internet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which is going on. So you have all of that going on, which is fucking ridiculous. And then today, the thing that now has kind of blown up is like, well, maybe there is kind of a conspiracy theory with Sweet Baby and these journalists in writing hit pieces on specific companies and specific games, trying to create a narrative like there is one for whatever problem that they might have. And then that company or Sweet Baby or whatever DEI company it is, we'll use Sweet Baby as an example, steps in and goes, hey, we can come in and help you clean up your public image for X amount of money, right. Which in the case crazy. Of the game that the studio leaked all this information on was that the monkey one. I always forget the name. Wukong, right? They're the ones that came out today and kind of posted all this shit that started this up. The Sweet Baby approached them and said, hey, we'll fix your public image for $7 million.
Yeah.
So that seems like extortion.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. So like if that's what's actually happening, like that's fucking insane. And I kind of hope that at this point, if that is what's happening, again, it's a little conspiracy theory, but of
course, it all tracks back to an IGN article written about how that game is sexist.
So it tracks back to an IGN article as well as an article by The Gamer.
Right. And
so there were multiple.
It's an article written by a friend of hers. And also that article, maybe it already did, but I checked it today just to make sure. Comments are turned off.
They always are.
But maybe they weren't originally, but until this thing came out, who knows? But again, comments are always turned off and posts are always protected because they cannot accept. Obviously, people are going to be out there saying things back at them which shouldn't be said. However,
yes,
it's also a really convenient way to make sure that other people's opinions aren't heard on your topic.
It is real
convenient.
Which again, and it all boils down to the same thing that happens every time: is that if you don't have the opinion that these people have, then you're in the wrong every single time.
No, it's not. It's not that you're wrong. It's not that you're wrong. It's that you're an enemy.
You're an enemy.
You're immediately.
Well, they take it to the extreme. They take it to the extreme. Yeah, like if you disagree with their opinion, you are immediately labeled like a far right wing.
You're targeted.
Yeah. And you're targeted, and then they come after you. It's no longer like you can't just have a different opinion on something anymore when it comes to that kind of stuff. It is immediately you are a target. And when it comes to the fact that when you're labeled a target, it's not just like, oh, he doesn't agree with this opinion. It is like, we're going to burn down the place that you work. We're going to go after your family, your job, your pets, your house, whatever. It's insane.
Yeah.
How out of control.
We talk about like this has to end with her getting fired from Kotaku. No, it doesn't. It doesn't because Kotaku
you don't think so?
Loves it. They're getting clicks, dude. Clicks all the time.
Yeah. They're going to continue to get clicks until she goes too far with something.
Yeah, but how far is too far? She's already doxing some people. That's not far enough.
I don't know. That's the thing is, I don't know what the line is for them at this point.
Right. But they don't care because all they give a shit about is engagement, and it's engagement on everything. Look at how often they repost the same shit on Facebook or Instagram all the time. They'll repost something they posted 2 days ago. And every comment on it is, cool, you already posted this. But that's a click. That's a comment. That's a and engagement.
Well, on the flip side of that, speaking of Kotaku, did you see that they were proven that they're using Twitter farming bots as well?
That one, anyone.
There's an account on Twitter. I think he goes by the name of Master of TDS or something like that. But he's been like fighting the war against Twitter bots for the past couple months. But he just uncovered like in the last week they use like a really cheap form of that, which is when you go look at it, it's very generic handles, and then it's like the same phrase over and over again. Hey, wow, great article. I agree with this. You know, like over and over again.
That's how Reddit works these days too. Like that shouldn't shock anyone. Like no,
it shouldn't. Disney does it all the time.
Yeah, everyone. They all do it.
They do. The major companies.
There was a big thing about that a long time ago about like IMDb, all these 10 ratings out of nowhere for certain things.
Yeah, I still think there's going to be a breaking point where she will do something that whatever it is at the extreme where they're forced to go.
She's reaching Frost levels. Like
this was, in my opinion, this was a Frost level rank.
This is right there, and like this. And the thing is this should be enough. But the Frost thing was kind of like that switch flipped, and she just went off, and they were like, "Cut it." This has been such a build that it's just like, yeah, this is the next logical progression for her.
But here's the funny thing, and I pointed this out to you. After that went viral on Twitter, Giant Bomb untagged themselves from that post, which I thought was humorous.
Yeah.
Why would they want to back away? But my theory on that is not the people that were in the room, but the company that owns Giant Bomb probably.
Well, because plenty of people that were in the room already stepped up and were like, I'll fight anybody too. I'm going to do this. Like, stop inserting yourself into all this stuff too. Like, that's the other thing is like, what are we trying to ride her coattails for? Like,
I don't get it.
You're going to end up on the wrong side.
If you go down the path, like when she doesn't have her Twitter account blocked or whatever, and you go down it, it's literally the same 6 people that comment or like it. She doesn't get that many likes on her shit. So it's just the same 6 idiots that keep, like, yeah, this is great. Some of them are game journalists, and one of them is a very, very fucked up individual, the one that's posting those pictures.
Right.
So it's just, it's gotten insane.
But again, it's okay if they post pictures, but if he puts the thing on his website that says these are people that worked at this company, that's too far.
I personally love that he was. I mean, obviously, it should have never been taken down in the first place because they basically doxed it to get it taken down. But I love that it's back up. He can continue to do it because again, he's not in the wrong in that case, and I love that it bothers them.
Right.
It is the worst thing to them that it just having their picture there on this list with what they've done.
Right.
Is like the worst fucking thing.
And it's all public knowledge. It's all stuff you've posted specifically for other people to read and engage with. He's just collecting it in one spot.
Yeah. I'll also point out, because I think it's funny, the other guy that's involved in this, that Nick Calander guy, I think we talked about him last time we recorded.
Yeah.
He was a part of it. Then he kind of, we said like he probably got pulled aside, like, hey, you need to knock it off. And he said he kind of stopped talking about it. He started talking about it this week. He approved of her little message or whatever. And I thought it was interesting. Today I saw that guy post after he got, a lot of flack. I'm going to be off Twitter for the next couple days.
Oh, weird.
Weird. Do you think he got talked to again?
He just can't take it.
No, I think his company talked to him again. Like, knock it off.
I think it's both. Because he puts himself out there and he can't take it. All these people are big mad, big opinions, big whatever. Can't take it.
Well, the other thing too, and I think it's important to note, is like if Smash JT, that guy, if he really wanted to, he could go to Patreon and tell that guy violated the terms of service for Patreon by having a bunch of his followers from Patreon go and dox that website. That guy could get his Patreon shut down. He's just not going to do that because he doesn't want, that guy doesn't want to be that involved. He just wants to report on it.
Right.
So, which they're just taking an issue on it because he's pointing out the fallacy. The whole thing's a fucking.
The whole thing's just fucking awful.
I would like it to end, but my ideal scenario is it ends with Kotaku being done, but it's Kotaku. I feel like it's one of those things where it's just going to still just continue to survive and exist. The next person will buy it and they'll continue it. But I do like now the pushback against Alyssa Mercante. I've seen a lot of people do the same comments, like, don't you have some game guides to write or something? Well, I've seen that a couple times. That's maybe
it's like immediately, why aren't you going to fight these people? You said you'd fight anyone, anytime.
She got it so hard on, I think, Monday after that, when the two girls were like, hey, we'll fight you, set it up, that she was trending on Twitter.
Right.
Which is fucking insane to me. So, but she's getting what she wants. She just wants attention.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. So, and unfortunately, like, we're never going to get to the point where people just ignore her. So, because she's too loud and boisterous about it. So, yeah, I want it to end. I would want it to end. My ideal, like I said, was Kotaku goes away, but I think it's infected all of games journalism. It's not just, there's very few like good game journalists out there anymore. I think it's a lot of the government. There are some good ones. So I still trust Jeff Gerstmann. hanging out in his house, playing with his kid or whatever, streaming some NES games. I trust his opinion that, hey, I don't really like game X.
Yeah,
I believe that because that's how he's been for 25 years.
I will say we definitely have differing opinions on games for sure.
Hell yeah.
But he will at least be like, I don't like this game. This game sucks. It's a bad game, and this is why. Yeah. And he'll tell you why. And he was never afraid.
He's brutally honest.
He was never afraid to say no, so much so that it got him fired from GameStop. But because he was correct.
Yeah.
So, I trust him for the most part. I trust the Nextlander guys because they're very similar because they're old school game journalists. I think that's where the line is. You're talking about guys who came up in the GameSpot, early reviews on the internet days versus keyboard warriors. I've got a Twitter account. I'll say whatever the hell I want.
Well, think about it. The era that those dudes came up with was like, obviously the internet was a thing, but they were writing articles for magazines.
They literally built online games journalism together.
They did. So it's wild, but I think they're respectful. I need to watch more Nextlander stuff.
It's not journalism anymore. It is content clicks, farming. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, whenever for me personally, whenever they talk about Alyssa Mercante, I always like to use the term Kotaku blogger because that's what I feel she is. I don't think she's a journalist.
No, it's a blog.
She's a blogger. That's what Kotaku is. It's a blog.
Freelance people. It's all just junk.
Opinions that are garbage. So, but I want it to end.